Good evening. Welcome to Goa. This is a session of Goa Links where I take you to some of the videos which I've been watching here recently and I think you might enjoy watching as well. So here goes. That's the music of Andrew Ferrão. Andrew is from Kansauli, a young Goan who has spent time outside Goa, sharpened his music, does a lot to promote Goan music in my view. And you can find a lot of Andrew Ferrão online. Just go to YouTube and search for it. This particular piece we play is called Konkani Piano Instrumentals by Andrew Ferrão. And it goes on for something like almost an hour of non-stop music. Okay. Second on my list today is not particularly this band Clay Jazz, but its drummer, a guy called Levi De Silva from Salset, Kutori if I'm not mistaken. And I've been following him and tracking him since I accidentally came across him when he was a youngster. So we will just take a look at some of his performances here. So this is when he's playing for Clay Jazz, which is a popular band, good music. And he's playing for them quite some time back. I think this is 7 years ago. 7 years ago, so that's him. So don't miss the Clay Jazz. They have evolved quite a bit till today, and this is the Clay Jazz today. So the band is awesome. I love it, and the music is good and great. So that's Levy. That's Levy and the Clay Jazz, and it's really nice music. I can't show you more of it, but you'll find it yourself. You can go directly to their video and watch it. I don't want to be copying their video, but here is what I can show you is this video, which is Levy when he was playing at the Zomni Velok Khel. The Zomni Velok Khel is a kind of a Konkani theatre which is staged on the ground, as its name suggests, Zomni Velok. So it's staged on the ground without a stage, stageless theatre, let's call it. And this is how it starts. We'll hear two small snatches from Levy playing, particularly Levy playing. So I was totally taken by surprise when I came across this music, and I was not prepared for it. It was totally unrehearsed, so I went and crept up close to him and got more of him in action, which is. So Levi goes on, man to watch, band to watch. Okay, uh, keep looking. Number three on today's list, Lichan Freitas. Lichan Freitas. Some years back, I came across this young man with the unusual name of Lichan Freitas. Okay, Lichan turned out to be an engineer, but that's not his claim to fame. His claim to fame is his amazing ability, interest, and ability to keep tracking Goan music, Konkani music in particular, and to keep writing about it, evaluating it, explaining it. Okay, so apart from that, he's also studying the architectural features of some buildings in Panjim, particularly these Art Deco buildings. And this is a recording from St. Xavier's College, Mapsa. And Lishan is obviously showing around his old equipment to the students there. The recording is from CCR TV, I acknowledge. We just listen to tune into a small bit. The students are having a party as he introduces them to old Konkani songs, but he's doing more than that. He's explaining and pointing to, kind of the historicity of the music, where it comes from, what makes it unusual, why it is precious, where it was put together, what were the influences on it. And he applies an engineering mind to music, and it's amazing.
I had a very fun time today, and like we get so much in.
So this is, if I'm not mistaken, this Xavier's Mapsa, the college or the high secondary, and Dishan is introducing them to this music in a very fun way, in an extremely fun way, and you can watch it yourself. It's on CCR TV. Kantara for the community with Antranos and Dishan Freitas. Antranos is a group, is a group of our friends, Omar Lola and team, and please watch it. It deserves much more than the 404 views it got. If you want to understand, what Dishan is doing and what he's up to, you will get a good idea here. There are other articles on him, like this one, for example, and you just search for Lishan Freitas, Leaxan Freitas. So Freitas is a rare surname. It was more common once in Goa, but Lishan is even rarer. So yeah, that's Lishan for you. Before winding up on this section, I just while I was browsing around, I came across this video where actually I'd quite forgotten that I had done this long interview with Lishan. You can find it online. It's on YouTube. Just search for Lishan Freitas on the Sound of Goa. Okay, and here he's explaining about what he does, why he does. Small bit might be interesting.
Yeah, thanks, Frederick. So, yeah, thanks for this opportunity to sort of share some of my music and interests. I think you do a great job in sort of encouraging a lot of these kind of things around Goa. So long may that continue. So I think today the idea was to talk about Kantara and music, and sort of a lot of it which is in the format of vinyl, vinyl records. Uh, Today, of course, it's much more accessible because on YouTube and Spotify you do have all of this music, but there's still some stuff that is released on other mediums which is not translated to and not available for the wide audience to speak to listen to rather. So I think my journey with sort of collecting records in general goes back to around maybe 2011. Like after I finished engineering, got a job, so I started buying my own records. Uh, Over time, over the last decade or so, whenever I could, I tried to pick up some Konkani records as well. They're not easy to come by. I mean, hardly anybody sells them. But here and there, sometimes you get lucky. There are people, and especially abroad. I think with the Goan diaspora in Canada, UK, and US, you do find some sellers, online websites, selling it. And curiously, sometimes I also ask them, "Where did you come across this album?" Like I got one from some guy in New Jersey, And he was like, yeah, it was in like in a yard sale. Somebody had just kept it out there, and it was in great condition. And I mean, including shipping, I paid less for what I would have paid for it if somebody was selling it to me in Goa. And that too, nobody sells. People open to trade.
How many do you have by now? I mean, that's a fascinating hobby, and I'm sure people, if they have any surplus, they could hand over or sell over some to you.
I
How
wish.
many do you have?
So I mean, records in general. If you're looking at the regular LP, the 12-inch ones that spin at 33 and one third RPM, I have about 400 of those. But Konkani in that is only about, say, maybe nine, I think so, about nine or something, right? And EPs, that is the 45 RPMs, the smaller one. I have like quite a lot of those. I mean, I've not kept count. Maybe close to 200 of EPs. But in that, Konkani again is about like say 20 something. That's it. Yeah. So my collection is.
The next page is just flat words, no music to it, but packed with information. So, how it goes about is something like this. During the pandemic, one of our friends, Simon Fernandez, from another part of the village, came over and we were having a lot of chit chat over different things because we were locked in the house and we had nothing to do and we couldn't go out. And along the way, the conversation shifted to bands in Goa and, which were the popular bands in the past. So as Simon kept listing the bands, I realized that this guy had an enormous amount of information, and some of these bands I knew just as names, but he knew it as much at a much deeper level. So as he kept naming them, we kept writing it down, and then we wondered how do we preserve this information, this interesting piece of Goa information. So we tried making a Wikipedia page, and you know how it is on the English Wikipedia, because it's such a important and popular site. The admin there is pretty skeptical about what should be and what shouldn't be on the site. So they told us, no, you can't make a page. You maybe we are going to delete this page. Maybe. So we said, why? It's important to us. And then they said, maybe if you keep it as a list, we might keep it. So we made it a list. We reconverted it into a list. And it's amazing the numbers of bands that were prominent in Goa in those days, and which are now mostly sadly forgotten, are here. So you start off with brass bands. Of course, it's not necessarily listed chronologically or in terms of importance. There is some randomness. So in brass bands, you have Don Bosco's band from 68 onwards. Then you have the Ultra Brass Studio by Rui Lobo, which is recent in history, maybe a last decade or so, and other bands in between. Christian bands, choirs, quite a few cover bands. As you know, there's a lot of cover music in happening in Goa, and of course, smaller bands, but bigger bands like Beat 4 with Remo Fernandez and at his home recording studio in Shioli. Beethoven's big country band, Billy Rangers, Billy and the Kids, Black and White, Black Slade, Boyfriends, Brood of Vipers, which was popular, Brood of Vipers, and things like Clay Jars, of course. Some with links, some without links. So, man, we do need to track this history and keep it down for posterity. Some bands have a little bit of information about them, like this is about the band The Link, which my classmate Jude was playing for probably in the 70s or 80s. Okay, lots of bands, lots and lots. Two girl groups, all girl groups. Casual Encounters and Poison Ivy. Both started by a guy called Salazar Dissa, who is now in Canada. Popular musician, many people pay tribute for his contribution in building them. Salazar was down recently, but when I approached him, he declined to speak on the record or give me an interview. Jazz bands, one man and duo bands, orchestras, the Goa Choral Symphony, the Goa State Symphony Orchestra, Orchestra Sinfonica, the Goa Portuguese times, Panjim Open Philharmonic, That's Rui's recent initiative. And the Goa Strings Orchestra. Early to mid 20th century Goan bands, which no longer exist, of course. Goan bands outside Goa. So people, you know how it is. You start a page. Unfortunately, if it's not well done, Wikipedia will throw it out. But then all kinds of people will come and add to your page. So there is some kind of contributive functioning here. So you can see who all have added to the page. And you can even keep track of what changes they made and things like that. So this is how the Wikipedia works. Someone starting, everyone adding. Okay. And then you coming up with something rather interesting. So yes, please contribute, please record, please share. Number 5. Songs of Praise, Old Konkani Hymns, rendered by Victor and Jane da Costa, again from Kurtori, the heartland of Goan music in the South Goa, Salsette Taluka. So the backstory of this music is available on two sites. That is on SoundCloud.com, where you have long URLs that sometimes can be a bit hard to find, and it's available on archive.org. Archive is this site where you can archive anything legal, that is. archive.org/details/Victor da Costa Goa. So the backstory is that Victor's uncle, Padre Antonio Costa, remembered his old hymns, and sitting in Arizona, where he is based today, probably around 80, he's been able to put this down in the form of a book, with the cover of which you can see here. And the book has notations and things like that, so it not only has the lyrics but also the notations of the music. So Victor and his equally talented wife Jane da Costa, Victor da Costa, who's a music teacher in Kutori, very quiet, extremely talented, very very soft spoken, very unassuming guy, and so is Jane, and the kids are musical too. So they actually put this music this music into song, and rendered it into song. So I'll play a little bit for you, first from SoundCloud. So these are small songs. Each one is of a few minutes long. There are 15 of them here. Uh, some are litanies, some are hymns. They are very very old, very ancient, and I think that Father Antonio Costa has done a great job in preserving these memories for us. And we published his book about 10-12 years back, probably. I'm looking out for something here. Okay, which I'm not finding anyway. Maybe this one. Yeah. San Francisco Xaviera, number 135. So don't miss the charm with which Victor and Jane have rendered this music. Jesu Benedito, the last one today. Yup. Don't miss the charm with which Victor and Jane have rendered this music with a lot more flourish than you would if you probably. I'm not a musician, but you would probably find if you just read the notes as is. So that's it for this segment. Number six, taking you to some podcast just randomly chosen, probably because it's mine. Uh, but there are a lot of podcasts. There are some podcasts you find interesting sounds from Goa. So, for instance, you just go to Spotify.com and search for Goa. Go to SoundCloud.com and search for Goa or Goan music or something. You'll find quite a bit. Mangalorean music, Sri Lankan music, which is also charming, can be found there. So this is a long interview going on for 1 hour and 7 minutes, almost 70 minutes, with Agnello Fernandez, who is the one of the founder members of this band called the Hijackers. The Hijackers. which was popular in the Kalangut of the 1970s. For those of you who are too young, hijacking is a thing. It became a thing, but it wasn't before the 70s, maybe, unless I'm getting my history wrong. So it wasn't that popular. Then in the 70s, with the rise of radical politics and conflict between different cultures and things like that, oil politics and everything, uh, this hijacking became, like, suddenly it became popular. So I guess we didn't speak about that. He didn't tell me about it. So I guess that they just took this concept called the hijackers and called a band after it. So in this interview, it's mostly an audio interview, very little music. Agnello tells me about the band, its background, how it got started, where they access their instruments from in those tough days where, technology was hard to come by. They had to craft their own guitars and God knows what not. And then the Kalangut of those times, and who were the other bands in Goa, and Johnson and his Jolly Boys, and John and his Jolly Boys, something he mentions another group there. So this, we'll just hear one or two tiny snatches from the interview while it comes on. Yeah,
There is melody in it because the song is not ready. So once the song is ready, this melody will be taken off and I will be singing.
Agnello Fernandez, really nice to have you at Salicom.
Thank you, Fred.
Musician of many years, recently awarded with the top prize of radiomango.ca. We'll come to that later.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I know you now. Tell us about then. How many years in music? How did it get started?
How many years in music? Like, it all started when I was a kid. I can say just about finishing my school in 1974. When a friend of mine called me up and he said, "Can you sing with a brass band for?" They were having a small Christmas dance somewhere in Arpura. And I said, "Well, I don't know. I can sing, but I don't know any song to sing with a band." He said, "I'll teach you 3-4 songs and you can repeat those songs." So
1964?
1974. So he taught me those songs and he just gave me the lyrics.
Which were they?
I think it was Proud Mary, Bad Moon Rising, and another two which I don't remember. But these two, as you asked me, they came to mind.
Music of our school days.
I know, yeah.
So then Agnello goes on. It's an interesting, long, free-flowing conversation. The baker comes in between, some guests drop in, and of course the interruptions have been cut, but they were there. And then maybe we'll go halfway through and see where he reached.
And joined that band. So we didn't have a drummer. We couldn't find a drummer. I mean, I had to sit on the drums and start practicing. I did not know a note. I don't know anything at all, like I could say. I had to sit on play the song at Angelo's place. Angelo Pace's place. He would play the radio and I would start drumming. That's how yeah, and that's how I learned drums. I played drums for 2 years then. 1976, 77. And then Tito and I were left because they were going for engineering. And I got a bass guitarist from Panjam and a lead guitarist from Britona. So we still carried on with the band.
Hijackers stayed alive till which year?
1977. That was the year, those boys were, college going first year, second year type of guys. And it was becoming difficult for them to come all the way to Kalangut for practice and all this stuff. So they said, we'll call it quits. And I said, fine, done, no problem.
So that's the history, and Agnello subsequently went to the Gulf and came back and restarted his music career here. He's still very active, performing in a lot of places, and very helpful guy. So I just thought I'll talk, and he was kind enough to come over, spend an hour with me. Just a sec, before we move out of podcast, let me take you to one more space. This is called Radio Mango. It's It's a Goan Konkani radio station online broadcaster that would broadcast once a week. And once you click on listen now, it'll take you to this page. So it was run by Milena Marquez Zachariah from Toronto in Canada. Earlier, fascinating story. So earlier they ran it for 10, 12 years with a small gap in between. And earlier they ran it on one of the community broadcasting sites where they would pay $1,000 a month to get space. So that was live and it could be heard on the air. Then sustaining it was tough, so they went on to SoundCloud, where it's much more reasonable and you can archive it. So these are all the past programs and different themes that they would focus on. And the most amazing thing was that Milena, an earlier a Mangalorean colleague of hers, Alan, I think Alan, they would both speak in Konkani. Of course, the Mangaloreans have retained their linguistic ability in Konkani, whereas many Goans abroad, all of us, have kind of lost it when we went there for whatever reason. But Milena's programs were entirely in Konkani. She would play a intermixing of music and news, sorry, and talk. And there was a small bulletin of news in between where Tina Costa would give the news summaries from Goa, for instance.
Radio Mango, Radio Mango, ooh la la la, Radio Mango, Radio Mango, Radio Mango, Konkani amsa Radio Mango.
So it started with this on every show, and then Milena comes in.
Făcut 4 balok Jezuzo zolum ami manu Italia ani ekamekak Merry Christmas munon ami hen mukel fest amche celebrate kurtelia. Last minute shopping zolta, kuswarui zolta, decorations, Christmas tree, randop zod busy ami sugli avela. Torhau kupabari kitumi thorovel karun aikotat mun wo amso Radio Mango. This is Malena, this is Radio Mango आणि वो podcast हांव सादर करता 13 वर्सांतल्यान टोरंटो कॅनडांतल्यान. ही 13 वर्सां आमी बरोबर सारल्यान कित्याक आमी सोगोत एक सत मानतात की कोंकणी भास जावन आसा आमकां खास. ह्या क्रिसमसाच्या सिजनाक हांव तुमकां आनी तुमच्या फॅमिलीक मागता खुशालपण आनी बरी भलायकी आनी ऑफकोर्स सौस्काय. Aikat Noit de Paz, Night of Peace, Gaita Olav Rodri.
Okay, so that was the last program, sadly, December 21st, 2025. And Milena promised to be back in March or April or May, sometime soon, 2026, as a YouTube show. So it was extremely tough to keep it going and a lot of pressure. I can understand it very well. Milena, I hope you can keep to your plans and to your promise, and we hope that we'll hear you back on the radio sooner or later. Thank you. And now we are going to some WhatsApp groups. Okay, so it looks a little bit dull and boring, but these groups can be quite powerful and useful and interesting. So the first one is one of my favorites, which has seen better days, which was much more active in the past. And then some subsequent developments happened, but we won't go into that. So this group is called Bands in Goa, and it says Everything Music, a group to focus on bands and musicians in and from Goa and other music-related themes. No off-topic post and no rude post, please. Set up in July 2020. Okay. Just the start of the pandemic, creative time, because we have to keep busy doing something. So it has about 286 members. mostly musicians, a few of us non-musicians, and talking about different things related to music, sharing some music that others are putting out, and some from outside Goa, discussions on different things coming up. So like a network for musicians. So that is bands in Goa. Then there is bands in Goa too, which is a group of the same nature but open to all, open to anyone, whether you're a musician or not. So they are both parallel groups. You can say a lot of cross posting happening between the two, and things like that. Apart from that, you have another group for music teachers called Music in Schools. Music in Schools. So that has a total of be smaller, I think. Yeah, 189 members. So this is almost entirely made up of music teachers. So music teachers, yeah. And any music teachers welcome to join it. Western, Indian, whatever, any form of music. So it has there is some overlap. So in that sense, there are some other groups like Saligao Blues Box run by my friend Simon, who I just mentioned a little while back. So this is for sharing the blues from all over the world. If you're a blues fan, do come here. 90, 96, 95 members, 95, 96, 95. Then you have the Konkani Kantara. Konkani Kantara 1 and 2 groups. Groups 1 and 2. So if one group grew too big, this has 725 members. So if it grew too big or something like that, then they started a group 2. So this is basically for Konkani music. So they have strict on topic posting rules. So if the group is for Konkani music, we expect you to post only Konkani music. So Konkani Kantara and Konkani Kantara 2, they are both parallel groups, 257 members. And then there is Konkani Kantara talk only. So if you want to discuss the issue, you can come here and discuss the issue. Whereas those other groups are for posting only the music, only the links to the music. So like someone asking, does anyone have this CD? Tisra Sacrament, the third sacrament. So there are some groups like that. Then there would be other music groups too, quite a few others, which you can see here. Yeah, groups and individuals. So yeah, that's about the WhatsApp groups. So okay, 7, 8, 9 were the three WhatsApp groups: bands in Goa 1 and 2, music in schools for music teachers, and number 9, Konkani Katara 1 and 2, and of course the talk on the version of Konkani Katara where you can discuss Kantara. Kantara is the name for popular Konkani song which saw its heyday between the 1950s and 1970s or so. So that was 7, 8, 9 on my list. Last but not the least, our writings on musicians, and there's a lot of it coming up. There are good writers whom I would point to, uh, discussing various aspects of Konkani music and Goan music. Lishan had also written one article which I could not locate, where he talks about some of the best names making the waves today in Goan music. It's on his podcast, on his blog, or somewhere there. This particular piece is from a column where I focused on the work of Basilio Magno, who passed away recently. He was a Goan based in Spain and other parts of the world before that, and creating Konkani music from all the distance. Amazing, amazing guy. These are the people we need to remember and celebrate. So he had, before he passed away, probably he must have realized, like, time was short. He took the trouble to send me some of these CDs which I wrote about. and there is a lot of other stuff happening. There is a lot of other stuff happening, including a book on Goan music written by this Portuguese gentleman called Korea. Korea, and it's a comprehensive look at Goan music. So maybe at some stage I'll do a books in brief column on that or something. But Dr. Louis Dice writes a lot on different versions of music. The for the kind of presence it has in Goa, it needs much more focus, scrutiny, discussion, celebration. Which doesn't happen, unfortunately. So having said that, I'll leave you on this note. Maybe some food for thought, maybe some areas to look at, maybe some groups to join, some places to visit, some music to enjoy. If you feel that that you want some information or something which is not included here, feel free to make a comment on below my YouTube video, or get in touch with me. WhatsApp 9822 12 24 36. I can add you to some of my groups if I'm admin there. If I'm not, I can tell you who is the admin, who are the right persons to talk to. All the best. Hope. I mean, feedback is welcome. Positive, negative, critical, everything. You feel I've left out something. Okay, obviously, I'm looking at the world from my own rose tinted glasses and my own perspective. So I'm talking about things I know. There obviously are a lot of other things which have been overlooked in a piece like this, would have been overlooked in a piece like this. Feel free to give us pointers. We all learn. Mention it in the comments below. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.